So, you guys are on your first Warped Tour.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever gone to Warped Tour when you were growing up?
I never went.
What?
Yeah.
And you went to it in Florida.
2009 and 2010.
Was it something you guys had wanted to do, Warped Tour?
Definitely.
Yeah? So how's it been now that you're actually on it?
I love it because there's so many bands on it.
Yeah.
And there's so many people
That's a
to
huge
make friends
difference.
with.
There's more bands and people just running around on this tour. Like, you get to meet so many people on Warped Tour, it's insane.
There's a lot of bands too that I've never heard of that I'll watch.
By the end of tour, you'll be like, how did I not know of these guys?
How did I not know this band? Yeah. And then you meet them, or you accidentally end up in a conversation with them at catering or just walking around
at one of the barbecues that goes on every night. And you're from Florida.
I'm from
Which
Florida,
I was gonna say, if there's a batch of dates that I hated, it was the Florida shows.
Yeah.
We got pummeled with the worst weather.
Yep.
It was so humid.
I didn't have to deal with that weather because I was going home.
What?
We would play and I would go home.
Really?
Yeah, because my dad came out to all 4 shows and I had a bunch of friends there. And after our set, I would just drive home. I slept at home for a couple nights. It was
Well,
great.
lucky you.
So,
Jeez, did you guys get to go there or were you stuck on the buses?
We were stuck on the bus.
But I did find out, we were talking just before this, that you guys have a shower on your bus.
Yeah.
That blows my mind because I would kill for that.
I mean, honestly, it looks like something that would be in your house. It's a nice shower. Like, you could take a full-fledged shower.
Yeah. Because at Warped Tour, you're outside every day, all day. So you're going to get a lot dirtier and sweatier than if you're just...
You can shower every
shows.
day on our bus, for sure.
You guys, you dropped a new CD on this tour, like 2 weeks into the tour? A week? When did it come out? The 29th or the 1st?
Came out digitally on the 29th, and
then it dropped
on the
physically
30th.
on the... So, the 30th, sorry. Self-titled album. Third album. Usually, like, when bands come out with, like, a self-titled album, it's either their first album, or else it's, like, an album where it's, like, a defining moment. So why was this one the self-titled one?
I think it was just because it felt the most natural.
Most so natural
We were
about it.
like scrambling to, find one in the lyrics and kind of just pull it from it. But we kept throwing things out, not liking it. And then one of the songs, St. Peter, is about like an interaction we had in Germany. And this dude who was a maitre d' at a hotel, upon first hearing our band name, he knew exactly where it came from. And like,
Which is a quote from
Gandhi.
Yes, from Gandhi.
Yeah. So it kind of just felt like a full circle thing. So being as an ocean just kind of just worked. I don't ever want to say, like, put out an album and say that it's our defining album. I don't.
Just
I don't
for
like
the time that this album came out,
Yeah.
it made sense for that to be the name for it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
When we first went into Glow in the Dark, which was like the epitome of recording for us, like in our minds ever since we were kids.
Why was it the epitome of recording for you guys?
Just bands that had come out of there, like the Chariot, Under Oath, to like show up to record our first legitimate like in studio album, and Josh was like living during the same time recording 68, so it was all kind of just craziness. I have a Chariot tattoo like on my wrist.
There's a lot to take in, I'm sure.
Oh,
to be
yeah.
like, whoa, wait, look where we're at.
It's kind of nuts to like wake up every morning, like from having not known Josh to waking up and like getting coffee,
Hanging
and
out like
just like
15 hours a day. I mean,
and, like,
you probably hang out with
stretching.
him more than anyone else. Cause
Isn't that a pretty surreal experience when like it gets to the point where you're just used to knowing someone that you used to think was like, that you just used to really look up to, or someone that you really used to want to meet, and then you just befriend them.
it was really interesting too that the first thing I did when I joined the band was that album and recording at that studio and
Hadn't even
staying
played
there
when
for
you
a month.
recorded
17.
Jeez.
and
I
hadn't even
just
played
turned
any
17.
shows. We
Yeah, I
played
hadn't
2
played
house
any-
shows while we were at the studio.
Right. So that was the first thing I did when I joined the band, and being from Florida, I'm super familiar with Glow in the Dark because bands like Under Oath, Copeland, who come out of Florida, who recorded there, and since it's so close to where I live, the studio being in Atlanta, I had friends bands, even just in local bands, who had recorded there. And since I started playing drums and understood any of that, that was the one studio I cared about going
That's
to.
all that you knew about.
Yeah.
That's all that
And
you
Matt
wanted to
Goldman,
know.
who pretty much runs that studio. So going there was kind of a surreal experience, but it was so strange how, and I can relate this to being on Warped Tour, it was so strange how quickly it went from being surreal to be like, wow, I'm at the studio, to being like, well, overnight, everyone there didn't feel like, it didn't feel like I was talking to some big name who I used to look up to. It felt like I was, because everyone was so cool and so nice, and that's the same way I feel about Warped Tour.
I was about to say, very true with Warped Tour. Like, you walk into, like, the headlining band's here or something, someone that you just always hear about and see about, and you meet them, just as chill as the smallest band on the tour. Totally. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's just
like Pierce the Veil's always like serving and catering in the catering line.
Oh yeah, and like some of the nicest guys too.
And they don't have to, you know what I mean? They don't have to do anything, but they're so nice.
And actually, it's funny because I remember going in 2010 and watching Pierce the Veil play a set that year, and now watching them this year.
What stage?
Not the main stage.
Yeah, that's right.
I believe it was the Hurley stage, which is not a thing this year.
What is that now? That's not the Monster stage now, is it?
I think it's probably about the equivalent.
Okay.
I think it is, because I remember it folding off of a truck.
So you guys on the Monster stage.
Yeah.
And you put on one heck of a show. I was watching it the other day, and you totally break that barricade line. But like a lot of bands, I feel like they keep it kind of a festival feel. But you don't just get up into the crowd on the barricade. You actually like walk around the barricade, and then you were like into the crowd, which is a very club feel of you. So what do you try? Is that kind of a feel you're trying to bring to it, or is that just part of your?
It's a purposeful thing. Like every day, especially in shows like this, to do that, to like break that line. We are just like a club band. That's usually all we play. Like festival, especially like festival tours, are very new to us. And so I think like we thrive in the club scene, and I try to do, crazy shit in clubs, like flipping off bars and stuff like that, but there's nothing like that, here.
You have to do the next best thing.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if the kids like walk away saying that they had like a great time,
that's all that matters.
It was like engaging. Yeah, that's all that matters.
So you're kind of bringing that club feel and just kind of that vibe that you're used to.
Yeah.
And you're just bringing it to the outdoor setting.
Oh, let's get Trey in this.
Trey, come sit
Trey,
down.
our tour manager, our good friend. What's up? Say hello to the camera.
We're doing a nice little interview.
It's a dinner.
Trey the Brewer.
Hi Trey, I'm Nick. Nice to meet you.
Nick, I'm Trey.
How are these guys doing?
Spoken word artist.
Trey would know more than anyone. He is our TM, and he manages all our merch and everything.
Well, I guess you guys can sit here and I'll just talk to Trey then. It was. And then after this, you guys have a tour coming up with Amity, right? In the UK?
Yeah.
Is that right? You guys travel around the world a lot.
Oh yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah, definitely.
Europe a sick spot. Everyone seems to love Europe.
Yeah, we go there like 3 times a year.
Jeez.
Yeah.
We just don't move over there.
We love it. Yeah. Well, I mean, Michael's from England, so he lives in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, why isn't he here? Come on, Michael. What are your favorite spots to hit up there?
Everything is really beautiful. I think it'd be hard for us to say anything specifically. Switzerland, I think, is like a hidden gem. Like Switzerland shows are always awesome. The people are awesome. Germany is. I mean, we should obviously give a huge shout out to Germany, Austria. Those are like some of our biggest shows that we get to play in the world, and the kids go so hard. So it would be a crime not to give them a huge shout out. I mean, there's so many places: Belgium, France, Italy, Germany, Austria.
People seem to love Europe. People seem to just love Europe.
I think Germany is definitely where we have the best shows. And then mentioning Switzerland, I remember the first time we played Switzerland. Literally outside, it looks like a painting,
like storybook.
Like it looks so
like
good. It doesn't. I didn't even believe it.
Beautiful architecture. So, what was your mindset the first time you guys were going to Europe? Were you scared or hesitant, or kind of like, oh shit, is this gonna work?
Connor wasn't in the band yet. Obviously, he had an experience his first time too, because his first tour with us was a European tour. Like, he's 17. Hey, do you want to join the band? Sure. Drive straight to the studio, basically record an album, fly from the studio to England, and place his first show with us in England, besides 2 house shows that we played to like kind of get a feel for it. But his first show was in England with August Burns Red, basically. Whole European tour straight to Russia. So his like
you had
30,
quite the first tour, my man.
Yeah, his 30-second show with the band, is in Moscow, and he's still 17 at this point. Most kids can't even travel.
The most interesting part about that, for me, and the most what was the weirdest part about that, when it was all happening, was that I was still when I joined the band, I was still in high school, and when they asked me to join, actually, I wanted to join so bad, but I was a little skeptical because I didn't want to drop out of high school, and I brought the idea up to my dad, who is more supportive than I could ever ask anyone to be. Because I told him, maybe I can bring up the idea to them of, we talked about this too, we had a conversation of
like waiting.
Maybe you can have someone fill in and you can wait and I'll join after I graduate. And my dad actually pushed me to finishing online.
His dad
So
put his foot down
so
and
I
was like, you need to
finished-
join.
So I finished my last half of my senior year online and got my full, normal diploma. Got to walk at my school's graduation and everything. But for those first couple tours in England and then like mainland Europe and Russia, I would get off stage and then go write an essay on my computer. And so that was definitely an interesting experience.
So did your dad come out to the shows in Florida, the Warped shows?
He came to all 4 in Florida.
Was he stoked?
Yep, it was awesome.
Good.
Proud papa.
Yep.
He's a proud papa.
And he flew out to California on my first U.S. tour with the band and came to my first 3.
Oh, really? What tour
US
was that?
shows. It was us, and it was a headliner with A Lot Like Birds and My Iron Long and This Wildlife, who's on the tour.
Yeah.
Idle hands.
Idle Hands, yeah. And he flew to California, rented a car, and drove to the first 3 shows.
That's rad. You
So,
got a good
that's
dad.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
great when you can have
Yeah.
such great support within the family
Yeah.
to help you push that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, I'm glad you guys are having fun out here, and the new album sounds like it went good. So
Cool.
you guys are killing it.
Thanks, dog.
Right on. Let's just keep having a good few weeks out here on Warped Tour.
Cool.
Awesome,
Sweet.
man.
Thanks for chatting tonight, guys.
Thanks, dog.